I'd like to share with you all an incident that actually happened in my little hometown. When it first happened, I was pretty young, so I just picked up bits and pieces from hearing adults talk. But that was rare. It's like they thought, whatever happened, there was something in it that had to be shameful. It always scared the heck out of me when they did whisper about it. Now, after what happened here, and knowing more, it's even scarier. For me, it started when I was nearly ending my shift at the clinic one night. It was a gloomy evening. We'd had a hunting accident earlier, but otherwise it was quiet. Mitch Lemieux, this guy who owns a garage on Cartier Boulevard, 5-time arm wrestling champ down at the Caribou Bar, comes in panicking, looks spooked out of his mind. Never seen him so much as flinch before that. So I'm expecting some serious carnage. He's shouting for help, so I call 2 EMTs to go out with him. They come back with a half-naked girl. Her clothes are torn to ribbons, and what's left of them is soiled. She has cuts, bruises, and like pond scum or something over her. She has this deadness in her eyes like nothing I've ever seen. They get her in a blanket, a stretcher, and take her away. Everyone in the waiting room is standing now, and the only sound is Mitch panting. Because everyone knew that girl was Chantal Norman. The same Chantal who's been missing for 12 years. Since then, I found out a lot more details about her disappearance. I had to. I got specifics wherever possible. I'm going to lay them out here. I may have heard more talk than some as a kid, because my big sister, Virginia, was friends with Chantal and the other two, Jenna and Lise. She was supposed to hang out with them one weekend. I remember she was talking about it all week. I guess Chantal's parents were out of town, so she was excited. When Thursday came around, she starts saying she doesn't feel like going anymore. My mom questions her, asks if she's had a fight with the girls, that sort of thing, even if she's pregnant. Virginia got upset and left the table saying, "You don't understand." By Saturday, she was starting to cry all the time for no good reason. She finally told my parents she knew something bad was going to happen that weekend. "They're going to die, Mom," she said. That sticks in my memory like it was yesterday. She was so certain it gave me chills. But nobody believed her. On Monday, Virginia came home from school hyperventilating. My mom could hardly get a word out of her. When she did, it was, "They're gone." Soon the story was all the town could talk about. The 3 girls disappeared that Saturday night. Had Virginia gone, she would have been the 4th. The night of the disappearance, Maestro's Pizza had a call from Chantal's phone at 8:47 p.m. for pizza. The driver recorded the delivery at 9:20 p.m. He said the girls looked okay when he delivered the pizza. All 3 were at the door. He said it seemed like one of them kept looking behind her, like someone else was there. He couldn't see anyone. A receipt from a nearby liquor store was time-stamped 9:39 p.m. The clerk recalls only seeing Jenna and Lise. Chantal was not yet 18, so that may have been why. They did not seem distressed to him, although one kept checking her watch. At 10:14 p.m. and 10:17 p.m., 2 calls were found in Chantal's phone records. Neither call was local. One was to a law office 300 miles away. The recorded voicemail was 1 minute and 16 seconds of breathing. The second call was to a residence on Prince Edward Island. The woman who answered the phone said the caller asked, "Is he there?" and hung up before she could get clarification. She'd never heard of Chantal and had no idea why Chantal would be calling her. The law office said the same. That was the last confirmed time anyone heard from Chantal, Jenna, and Lise. At 11:29 p.m., a 911 call was placed from an unknown phone. A woman is heard whispering, "Send someone, please." And when the dispatcher asks where, she says, "We don't know," and the call drops. None of the girls' parents could say it was their daughter. It may have been a coincidence. The next day, after not being able to reach her daughter or Chantal, Lisa's mother calls for a wellness check. At 5:45 p.m. on Sunday, police arrive. Chantal's home is locked up. No signs of a break-in or a struggle. The alarm system was in home mode. The cars were still parked outside. The girls' phones had been left on the table. One was even left charging. Nothing had been stolen. Slices of pizza were out on the coffee table, partially eaten. Half-drunk drinks were beside the plates. It's like they'd just been in the middle of having a good time, drinking, listening to music, when they suddenly dropped everything and ran off. It's not even clear how they locked up, because the house keys were found on the kitchen counter. Nobody could understand it, but there was a bad feeling about the whole thing. Even the cops say they felt dread when they approached the home. They felt what Virginia had felt before, that something terrible happened. The usual events that surround missing girls followed. Much of the community helped search surrounding wooded areas. Signs were put up everywhere, all the way to Montreal. It must have cost a ton. The bay was searched, and a body was found. It turned out to be someone else. In fact, I believe that body was never positively identified. Police questioned everyone who knew the girls. Family, friends, neighbors. Nobody saw anything, heard anything particularly suspicious. They questioned Virginia a few times about why she didn't spend the weekend with them as planned, and why she wasn't helping with the searches. To the latter, she said, "It's too late." That's when the weird stuff started to come out. I think every case that's low on leads like this is going to have some degree of strange tips that go nowhere. But these strange tips went somewhere. This is the stuff that made people not so keen to talk about it. The first strange report was from an old man, an ex-cop, in a town an hour away. The night the girls disappeared, he was having trouble sleeping. This was around 1 a.m., he says. While he's taking a leak, he thinks he hears someone in his yard. It sounded like it might have been giggling. Figuring it was kids, he ran out with a bat just to scare them. When he got to his backyard, which backs up to the tree line, he saw 3 girls holding hands and running single file into the woods. He ran after them because there's a lot of woods back there. He was afraid they'd get lost or hurt. When he got to the woods, he couldn't find them. They were just gone. He felt stupid about the whole thing, so he kept it to himself. Until he heard 3 girls had gone missing. A search was conducted in the area. Dogs brought in, but nothing was ever found to say the girls were actually there. It creeps me out thinking about it, because if it was them, why would they be there? It's a long walk from Chantal's home to this town. Why would they walk all that way to wander into the woods? Chantal's parents were questioned repeatedly if they'd received demands. Someone said they'd seen Chantal's father meeting with some men in black suits the week before the girls disappeared. They were getting into a black car when he'd been spotted. Chantal's dad was a roofing contractor, so top secret meetings wouldn't have been his thing. He denied it at first. Later he said they were hardware salesmen. So why'd he start by lying? What hardware salesmen act like that? It didn't help their case that Chantal's mother believed the girls were dead. She said it was because of something that happened while she was out of town. At the hotel where she was staying, 3 birds got into the lobby the same night the girls disappeared. Staff got a 40-foot ladder to get the birds down, but when they got up there, the birds were nowhere to be seen. Why exactly 3 birds? That was their spirits. They're with God now. That's what she used to tell people. I guess that brought her comfort. Someone told Virginia about it once, and she said, "They're nowhere near God." Some people shared that opinion because when police went through their search history, there was a lot of odd stuff you wouldn't expect popular cheerleader types to be into. There was a lot of occulty stuff and conspiracy theories. One weird search phrase stood out on the report. Can a TV signal make you do things? And variants on it. The last item in Chantal's history, at 10:01 p.m., was for a mountain cottage in Arkansas. They were in contact with someone with the handle, The Prince. Not many details of those interactions came out. I heard from someone in the police department that he was telling them to do things. There was only one of those he felt he could tell me. This guy had asked them to do something to Virginia. He wanted them to bring her out to this old woodshed, back behind the yellow house on Nelson Road. That was supposed to happen the night they disappeared. Think about it, he told me. What do you think would have happened to your sister if she went that night? What would have happened? His look told me this was something that kept him up at night thinking about it. I know the feeling. They were never able to track down who the prince was, from what I understand. Efforts to contact him online failed. One of their mutual friends heard Chantal talking about some guy named Vincenzo. How Vincenzo knew everything and told them things nobody's supposed to know. She said Chantal told her Vincenzo took them out to a secret place. Another friend said while sitting with some other friends, he saw Chantal talking on her phone at school. She was talking for 5 minutes or so. She came back and said it was Vincenzo. But everyone at the table swore she didn't even have a phone in her hand. She was just facing the wall, talking. Whether real or made up, Vincenzo was another dead end. And there were sightings of the girls everywhere. Sometimes locally, but some claims came from as far as Vancouver and even Australia. Sometimes in the woods, sometimes walking along the street, at the beach. Someone said he was sure it was Chantal who begged him for money in Toronto. Someone else said they saw the girls along the street on a vacation to Mexico. She said the girls retreated into the crowd when she called to them. Why would they run away like that? She asked. Maybe the strangest was a guy who could point to some photos he and his wife had taken at a party. In the background, 2 girls and part of a third that looked just like them. The thing is, the photos were at a watch party for the fall of the Berlin Wall. The girls were infants at the time those pictures had been taken. There were many mysterious things about this case. Why'd they disappear? How'd they get where they were going? Was someone else involved? Where'd they go? Were they dead? The odds of them still being alive were extremely low. Nobody believed we'd ever see them again. With the reappearance of Chantal, the question now was, where have they been for the past 12 years? And where are the others? Mitch told officers, me, everyone who'd listen, how he found her. He'd been out on his own land, his father's land, technically, acres and acres of it going way back into the woods, hunting deer. He was up in his stand, way back there, having a few beers. He saw some movement far off in the trees. He was ready to take a shot, but something made him hold on, just the way it's moving. Too slow and unsteady for a deer, even a wounded one. It's a sickly walk. He keeps watching as it comes closer. It's a person, he's sure. He'd normally be furious someone was trespassing, but this is too weird. She's slowly walking straight toward the tree where his stand is, and he can now see it's this half-naked, beaten girl. Wherever she's been, I don't ever want to go there, he told me that night. Sent a shudder right through me. He reeked of something, like a scorched tar smell. And all I could think was that she'd been to hell and back. The ER docs concluded she was physically okay. She needed food and warmth, but otherwise just bruised up. What she needed was psychological evaluation. Whatever peace and quiet she had in her room ended quick. Police arrived to question her. Her parents, now divorced, were called, and they all wanted to know where she'd been, if she was okay. She still had that dazed, mindless look, even with her mother caressing her. When she finally spoke, she gave an address. They tried to get her to say more, But that's all she'd tell them. Just the address. It was a local one on the other side of town, past the old drive-in. Not many people live out that way anymore. Police sent someone to the address immediately, hoping the other girls would be there. I found out from a friend that they had trouble finding it because the yard was so overgrown that the house number was covered. The house itself was sagging, a rotten old house with busted-out windows. 2 cops were checking it out, and even with 2 of them, both armed, the place made them nervous. They go inside and find an old mattress and a bunch of dolls on the floor. They heard a thudding sound from upstairs. One of them went up to check it out, while the other looked around downstairs. The one upstairs went room to room looking for the source of the noise. He comes to one room where he sees the window shutters are open. He thinks he's seen this in the movies before. It's just the wind. What next? A cat jumps out? So he goes and closes the shutters. Then it occurs to him, there isn't any wind. He searches upstairs and finds no one there. He runs downstairs and asks his partner if he's seen anyone. He hasn't. He's been flipping through a book he found. It's a book about the Nazis with Polaroids of children between the pages. They decide to get out of the creepy place and come back in daylight. On the way out, they both notice the back door's been opened. They were sure it was shut when they'd arrived. Investigators looked all over the property the next few days. One of the upstairs rooms has a lot of bloodstains. They're tested and come back inconclusive. The Polaroids are reviewed, but no one recognizes the children. There wasn't even a hint that Chantal or the others had been in that house. They can't figure out why Chantal was so fixated on that address. The owner of the house, according to records, made the purchase in 1974. Nobody in town had ever seen or heard of this person. More, as far as police could determine, this person didn't exist. Others still living in the area say they've seen vehicles at the home before, years back. Never the same vehicle twice, but they never met anyone. Hospital staff left Chantal's mother stay with her the rest of the night. She didn't want to leave her side. She was afraid of losing her again, perhaps. One of the nurses heard her mother asking her, "Where were you all that time, Chantal?" And saying things like, "You don't look a day older." And Chantal said, "I wasn't anywhere." Technically, my shift was over, but with what happened, I stayed on to help. And I was nosy. I didn't try to go visit Chantal. I never really knew my sister's friends, so I was surprised when I heard Chantal wanted to see me. I figured it would have to do with Virginia, and I was right. She asked me if Virginia could come see her. I just imagined how much she missed her friends and family after all this time. So I was quick to promise I'd try my best. Virginia had left town 11 years ago. She rarely even called. Something about the incident changed her. But I had her number, of course, so I called and told her everything that happened. "She's been asking to see you, V. Maybe she'll tell you more about what happened." I was sure she would say she's hopping on a plane. Instead, she said, "Chantal is dead. They're all dead. They've been dead all this time." I said, "V, I was looking right at her. She spoke to me. She's on an IV drip. She's alive." "I don't know who or what that is. All I know is if I come home, I'll never be seen again." And she hung up. I called back a few times. She wouldn't answer. My parents couldn't believe it. She wouldn't answer for them either. I couldn't go face Chantal with that news, so I just went home. I spent the night beating myself up about it. I could hardly sleep. Around 3 a.m., I heard faint knocking on my front door. All sorts of ideas went through my mind. What if Virginia decided to fly in after all? Before I could go to the door to look, my phone rang. It was Virginia. I answered and asked right away if that was her at the front door. She told me she had a bad feeling and woke up in tears. Sure, something had happened to me.
Don't answer the door,
She said.
please.
I didn't. I heard the knock again, and I didn't answer. V and I weren't close, but I trusted her. I spent the rest of the night hiding in my own home because she really freaked the shit out of me. I found out the next day that Chantal had gotten out of her bed during the night, around 2:45 a.m., while her mother slept. Hospital cameras show her walking out calmly. Nobody notices. And just like that, she disappeared again. Nobody's seen her since. No idea where she went after leaving the hospital, and still no idea where she'd been for the past 12 years. There have been searches, but I'm sure it'll be all dead ends. Again.